Hi everyone, we are back on Cooking with Kimberly. I am making meatloaf today, and I thought I would show you guys how I make it. So these are my ingredients that are laid out here. I also have all my measuring things. I'm just going to take you guys through a little bit of what all of this is, and then we'll get started. So first you're going to need a big bowl. You'll notice that I have ground beef in here already that's been thawing all day. Pro tip, make sure that you don't have frozen ground beef for this recipe. So I have my frozen beef, or my thawed beef at this point. So my beef, I have milk, I have onions, and I have breadcrumbs, as well as 1 egg. So that's your first step there. For your second step, you're going to need salt and pepper. Your third step, you're going to need ketchup, mustard, and brown sugar. I know, who thought brown sugar was in meatloaf? So you've got brown sugar here, and then you will need, at some point, a lightly greased pan. It doesn't matter necessarily what size. This is the one that I prefer to use just because I like the way that it comes out here. What the recipe that I'm following suggests is a 9 by 5 inch baking pan. I just tend to use that one. So the recipe that I'm following today calls for 1.5 pounds of ground beef. I've actually found that it's better through trial and error. I found that it's better with 2 pounds of ground beef. So I have 2 pounds of ground beef in here. What you are going to need is 1 cup of milk. So once I've added my 1 cup of milk, this recipe also calls for 1 onion. Now it says 1 onion, it doesn't give you actual measurements. What I found through trial and error is that 1/3 of a cup or even 1/2 of a cup of onions works really well. So that's why I have these here. So I have my 1/3 of a cup of onions. You can see that they're not necessarily super small diced pieces. You can have sliced, you can have chopped, you can have diced, whatever. It's up to you. Just be aware that whatever your sizes are, it's going to stay that way in your meatloaf. So depending on how big you like your onion slices and how pungent you like that flavor, you may want to chop them smaller. It's up to you. Once you've done your onion, you're going to throw your egg in there. Perfect. Once you've done your egg, you're going to have breadcrumbs, and it's going to be a full cup of breadcrumbs. In goes my cup of breadcrumbs. And once you have those 4 ingredients together, what you're going to do is mash it up so that it's all nice and joined together. You are going to want a fairly large bowl for this because this is the bowl in which you're making your meatloaf. So that entire process takes about 5 minutes or so. You want to make sure that it's really well blended. Once you have done that and you've combined those ingredients, you're going to season with salt and pepper. Now the recipe calls for seasoning with salt and pepper to taste. We don't like to have too much salt or pepper in our meals. However, this is Himalayan salt, so it's a little bit healthier than your regular salt. And this is your black pepper grounds. So I just usually do a few sprinkles of this, and you are good to go. Once you've combined your salt and pepper for your final seasonings, you want to just give it a little bit of a mix to make sure that everything works itself through. Then you're going to set that bowl aside because that is your actual meatloaf combination, so to speak, and you're going to worry about making your glaze. Meatloaf has a glaze on it, and I was really surprised when I learned this. This is actually mustard, ketchup, and brown sugar. Now it's really, really key that you follow the exact instructions for the recipe, and I'll link that in the description down below. But if you don't, it can actually turn out pretty nasty. Not speaking from experience, but I have heard horror stories. So what you're going to want to do, you'll have another small bowl on hand, and this is where you're going to be using your tablespoon measurement and your 1/3 cup measurement. So for ketchup, you want about 1/3 and drop it in. What you want is mustard and brown sugar as well. Now your brown sugar, you're going to need 2 tablespoons, and your mustard, you will also need 2 tablespoons. So, coming from someone who does not want to use more than 2 or 3 utensils at a time, I suggest you do the brown sugar first, then you've got your tablespoons with brown sugar, and then you can do the mustard so that nothing sticks to each other. Alright, so once you have everything combined, what you can do is mix it up, and you're going to want to make sure that this mixes really well. You can mix it with anything really. If you mix it with the original tablespoon or you choose another metal spoon, that's fine. But the idea is to make sure that it's mixed so that it's all one liquid rather than all easily separated. Once you've got that done, it's going to look something like this. It looks far more appetizing on the meatloaf, I promise. What you want to do at this point is make sure that you have your pan that you're going to be using, and you are simply going to scoop your meat into your pan here, and then dribble your glaze on top. So this is what it should look like as the semi-finished product. As you can see, that didn't take me very long. It's literally just ground beef and some spices and some onions and some milk. And what you're going to want to do with this is throw this into your oven. For us, we're using a wood-burning stove, so it may take a little bit longer. Most meatloafs will take about 1 hour to 1 hour and 15 minutes. I found that if I keep our wood burning stove at about 400 degrees, 350 to 400, it cooks within that time. So what you want to make sure that you do after you dump your meat into your pan is make sure that you spread the glaze on it and you spread it around. You don't just want to dump it in one spot. As you can see, I have it spread all over the meatloaf so that it's going to soak in and actually flavor the entire thing. And here we are. As you can see, it's very hot. It just came out of the oven. It will have some juices coming off of the meat just because you've had it in the oven and it's just been cooking. So as I said, I put this in for about an hour and a half. The recipe, which I'm linking in the description down below, it only takes about an hour, but that's if you have an electric stove. If you have a wood burning stove, take into account that it might take a little bit longer. This is super easy to make. It's super delicious. This is the third or fourth time that I've made it, and I find that it's really, really good. And like I said, it's super quick. It's something that you can throw in the oven, and it's healthy too. It's ground beef and onions and milk and everything like that. So, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.